What is going on, guys? This All Gaming with my review of七つの大罪, and of course I am a few days late with this review, but of course you know what they say, better late than never, and I gotta say, for a first episode, this right here was freaking fantastic. Now, just so you guys know, I do read the manga, and so of course I was so hyped when this anime was announced, and now that it's finally here, I cannot wait to bring you guys these reviews on a weekly basis, because I gotta say, I freaking love this series. And so the episode itself, we see now that it starts in this kingdom, and we see now that like part of it is destroyed. Now we see now, you know, from a high viewpoint, it does look normal, but as we get lower to that street level, we see like most of the buildings, they are, you know, rather destroyed, and it's like pretty much a mess everywhere. And so we have like this one random night. Now obviously this guy, you can tell that like he's pretty much fodder level, and of course he seems very weak because this guy, he was like very scrawny. But we see now that this much older gentleman, and this guy was like clearly, you know, buffed up. He actually, you know, like came to this guy, and we see now that, you know, that there pretty much been a massacre. Now there was, you know, just a great holy knight. Now he was killed, but we see now that like a bunch of holy knights as well, they were just like massacred because we saw the dead bodies, obviously. And I gotta say, like, this series right here, they definitely, you know, like they will certainly tell you the difference between a holy knight and a regular knight, because we saw like these normal knights that they had on, you know, like this gray regular armor, but the holy knights, you know, their armor put like different colors, so that right there, you know, definitely, you know, stands it out. And so pretty much, you know, we do get to tell the story about how this world, how it pretty much feel of like, you know, humans and demons, and they're pretty much, you know, a great battle, you know, between them. And pretty much these holy knights, they were able to use like they were able to use, you know, this like very high magic, you know, magical powers. And so pretty much what happened is there were these 7 knights, and they are pretty well really you like can't call them knights, but I'm guessing you like call them warriors, I guess. But they were like these 7 warriors, and they were also known as, you know, the 7 deadly sins. And these sins, they were actually, you know, like they were apparently responsible for like killing this knight. And so this knight, you know, like with the death, of course, that right there, you know, kind of made the kingdom, you know, betray these knights that they used to like work with and everything. And so these knights, you know, they all earned the name, you know, 7 deadly sins. And these sins, they could be identified by like these markings of these animals that they have on their bodies. And so pretty much, you know, after that, 10 years have passed now, and obviously, you know, things have changed. And so pretty much, you know, our story here, it starts with this guy. He like runs a bar. You just see that it's like full of drunk people. And so the thing is, his bar, it is actually known pretty well for the alcohol. Now when it comes to the food, that right there is definitely, you know, like where things go bad. Because we saw these 3 men, they were eating on like this boar meat pie or something, and pretty much at first they were like so happy to eat it, but then they like pretty much vomit it out. And that right there, you know, go to show you, you know, how bad the food is. And so now we get introduced to another character, Hawk, who is a pig. And we see now that this pig, it has a job where it like eats the food, because obviously nobody wants it, especially after it's been on the floor. But then we hear all these rumors about some knight, you know, about, you know, a wandering rust knight. And that right there, you know, kind of scares everybody, because this knight, he could have some ties to the 7 deadly sins. Now, some people do think that they are dead, because that right there was a rumor. But these wanted posters of them that we saw, like those get renewed every year. So obviously, you know, like people in charge of the knights, those right there, you know, they renew them, because they know for a fact that these things are not dead. And it was also this other rumor that were actually started by the knights themselves, which we learned, of course, in the first episode, that their king is dead. Now that right there is a definite lie, but we do see now that when the rust knight comes in there, everybody just runs off, because obviously, you know, they are scared right now. But we see that this rust knight, when it actually does collapse, it's revealed to be a woman inside that suit of armor. So of course we have our main character here, who I will use his name now, because obviously if you guys are watching this review, I do hope that you guys are watching the episode. Meliodas, like he was actually, you know, like really examining her. We saw that, like he was like watching her. He touched her and he smelled her, and that right there was hilarious. And when he touched one of her breasts and started squeezing on it, he never stopped at all. And that right there was like pretty hilarious. Like even when she finally woke up, he was still, you know, touching her like that. And that right there, you know, had me dying. But Hulk did get upset at him for that. But we see now that like that this female, obviously, you know, like she came in for a reason, and she thought that because he has a sword that he might be helpful to her. But we see now that the sword that he has, it's actually broken. But we saw that even though he has like a broken blade, you know, a broken sword, he could still use that in combat, and that right there is impressive. Not too many people can actually use, you know, a broken sword like that, especially effectively. So obviously, Meliodas, this guy is. But we see now that like after she had woke up and he like fed her. No, it was before that, where Hulk was like talking to her. This girl, you know, Elizabeth, she was like all up on him, and so obviously, you know, this girl, she definitely like pigs. And we actually learned that like one year she did ask her father for one, but he sadly did not give it to her. And so we seen that when Meliodas, you know, gave her food and she ate it, even though it was just so bad to her, it was still, you know, like pretty good as well. Because this right here was like the first time somebody was like so kind to her, and especially, you know, when you're like willing to eat their horrible food. Because I swear to God, I don't care what he did for me. If he gave me food, I wouldn't eat it no matter what. But we see now that like their happy times, it was interrupted as if we had this like group of I guess they're knights, but they're like pretty much like they are soldiers for this upper knight. And one of these guys, now I might be wrong here because I don't think that we got his name at the beginning, but I think this guy, what was his name? Now I forgot his name, but it's pretty much the one that had the bowl cut. I'm pretty sure this guy, he was that scrawny knight that we saw 10 years ago. Now I do believe that was him, but apparently, you know, these guys, they had came there because they heard of the reports that were made about the Rust Knight, and obviously, you know, this Rusted Knight, it could possibly, you know, lead them to finding, you know, the 7 deadly sins. And so now, you know, like while they were waiting for someone to open the door, they were like wondering, you know, where the bar came from, because they were there 3 days ago and there was no bar. So obviously it is weird for a bar to appear out of nowhere, especially in that very short amount of time. And so when Meliodas finally opened the door and they wanted to see this Rust Knight, they were in for, you know, quite a surprise, because it was Hulk wearing the armor, and that right there, you know, it was also pretty funny. And so right now they thought that, you know, that Meliodas and Hulk, they're like, you know, just toying with them. But we see Elizabeth, for like some reason, she had ran off, even though, you know, she could have stayed there. And that right there, you know, made those men give chase after her. But we saw Hulk, and Hulk here, for a pig, this thing is like very quick. And we see now that not only is it fast, but it can actually fight, as it pretty much, you know, one-shotted all of these knights. And that right there, you know, it was definitely hilarious. And even their so-called leader, he actually got pushed off the edge. And so right now we have Meliodas and Elizabeth, you know, they were talking, because it turns out that Elizabeth, she actually wants to find, you know, the 7 deadly sins, because she actually, you know, wants to stop the Holy Knights, because it seems right now they're preparing for like some kind of war. But while they were talking, someone had like attacked the ground they were like standing on, and they actually made the cliff fall. And we see that the one that like behind it, it was like this like very beefy kind of guy. Like this guy right here, he was built like a tank, obviously. And even though, you know, he like definitely confirmed their kills, I mean, you know, their death, they were not dead at all, because we had Meliodas. Not only did he save Elizabeth and Hulk, but he also saved like other knights as well, because we have this knight. His men was telling him that the other guy was like still down there, but this guy, he did not care at all. He was saying that, you know, it's like 3 deaths, and then, you know, when they tried to tell him, you know, how horrible that was, he was like even willing, you know, to kill his own men. And that right there goes to show you, you know, how horrible he is. And so now pretty much this guy, he was trying to kill them for sure. And he even recognized, Elizabeth as the princess because she still had this earring on her ear that had bear the emblem of the royal family. So for some reason she like pretty much gave herself away. I don't know why she was like wearing that because don't get me wrong, I do know that she had probably wanted to like treasure it, but at the same time, if you're going around knowing that people want to capture you, then obviously you should hide anything that could like give yourself away. But for some reason she did not do that, and that right there is when that guy recognized her. And so pretty much he was so determined to kill her, even though they did want to capture the royal family. He did not care about that at all. He like to him, he would capture her alive or dead. And even though that right there was messed up, Elizabeth here, she was still willing to like sacrifice herself so that at least Meliodas would like get away, because obviously this guy had been so kind and nice to her. She does not want anything to happen to him. But pretty much Meliodas, he was already already involved in this, because she is looking for him, because now that she has seen the mark on his arm, and obviously when he learned her name, like even though he did not look like anything on the wanted poster, that right there was definitely the seven deadly sin member, Meliodas, their leader, the wrath of the dragon, I believe that he said. And so right now we have that other knight who had fallen off earlier. He had finally came to, and obviously he did want to warn his leader, not to fight him, because this guy, he also caught a glimpse of his arm as well. But we see that when this knight, when he did not know who it was, and he did try to attack them, he actually got his attack sent back. And now we see that when Meliodas got serious, this guy got freaking wrecked. And you know what, that was awesome, because this guy was a dick. He tried to kill him numerous times, and so obviously he had it coming. And so now we see that when Meliodas finally finished him off, this guy armored, most of it was destroyed. And then we see that when his men was around him, we have this giant pig, falling on top of them, and that right there was actually Hawk's mother. And we do see that Meliodas' bar, it was on top of her, and so pretty much that right there was pretty much the first episode. And now we have Elizabeth traveling with him, which would definitely gonna be a good thing. And so right now they're on their own little journey, to find the members of the seven deadly sins. And so after that, we got the opening, I believe it was. Yeah, that right there definitely wasn't any, but we got the opening finally. And I gotta say that opening, it was definitely nice to see. I am glad, how they showed off most of the members of the seven deadly sins. I definitely cannot wait, till they find them, because obviously, that right there is really, the whole point is, at least at the moment. But right now we have that one knight that was defeated. He actually has gone to some guy who is clearly above him, because we see this guy, bowing, before this guy. So I definitely think, it's safe to assume that the guy that he went to is a holy knight. And so obviously, right now he definitely wants to bring down Meliodas and the seven deadly sins, because like you said, he had been waiting 10 years for this day, and now we're seeing he finally had the chance. But for the first episode, this right here was actually pretty freaking great. I'm actually going to give it a 9 out of 10. But of course, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. And as always, don't forget to like the video and subscribe, because it really helps me out. And you guys take it easy. I will see you all next time.